U.S. federal judge revokes President Trump's immigration order and travel ban. Friday, February 3rd, 2017, Seattle, Washington. Federal Judge James Robart is the judge who presided over this case and made this decision. Alexander Cornwell via Reuters.com is providing TRCIC News with this report. Citizens of 7 mainly Muslim countries banned from the United States by President Donald Trump can resume boarding U.S.-bound flights, several major airlines said on Saturday, February 4th, after a federal Seattle judge blocked the executive order. Qatar Airways was the first to say it would allow passengers from Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen to fly to U.S. cities if they had valid documents. Air France, Spain's Iberia, and Germany's Lufthansa all followed suit after the federal judge's ruling, which the White House said it planned to appeal as soon as possible.
Could be a stunning blow to President Trump's travel ban. A federal judge at this hour granting a Washington Attorney General's request to immediately halt President Trump's executive order on immigration nationwide. Okay, the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, spoke just moments ago about his request for a temporary block. Literally just finished speaking. Here's part of what he said.
The short answer is yes. Want to be very clear. What the judge announced today was nationwide. The president's executive order does not apply.
What's about to happen at JFK, at LAX, at O'Hare, at Hartsfield? I mean, are they about to say no longer? This can't be, I mean, this now is the law of the land, that they're going to go back to the way things were right now?
That's right. That's if they follow the ruling of the judge, and federal judges have nationwide jurisdiction on constitutional matters. If this executive order is a legal nullity, as the lawyers say at the moment. It does not apply anywhere in the United States, and that's where we are right now unless an appeals court steps in.
The travel ban, which Trump says is needed to protect the United States against Islamist militants, sparked travel chaos around the world and condemnation by rights groups who said it was a racist and discriminatory executive order. Here's some thoughts from Miss Madeleine Albright, former U.S. Secretary of State. During the last week of January 2017, being interviewed on CNN.
Is what it is. In many ways, it's anti-American and what this country stands for. It is we are a country that has been created and populated by people from other countries. And so the Statue of Liberty's message is, in fact, one of open arms and welcoming people. And I do think that there are tears in the eyes of the statue at the moment. And I do think that the whole aspect of this in terms of deciding that our safety and security depends on keeping people out rather than welcoming people and understanding what this country is about. So I think it's just flat anti-American.
Okay, so speak to the Americans who are afraid. ISIS wants to kill us. They are all Muslims. We need to be more careful about Muslims. These are bad countries that sponsor terror. Refugees, ISIS has said they will infiltrate there into those programs. Then candidate Trump promised to keep us safe from that threat, and now he's making good on it. I am satisfied. Speak to that person.
Well, I think that part of it here is that it has not made America safer. Let me just say, I think this was the most unprepared plan that I've ever seen in terms of the lack of coordination with other parts of the government. We're seeing that every hour where various departments were not, in fact, notified. So unprepared. Also not clear about the unintended consequences of this decision. It has actually created more danger because there are countries that are now, in fact, not able to cooperate with us in terms of intelligence sharing or generally mistrust. There's going to be tit for tat where our people are kept out. For instance, we have troops in Iraq now, and so we have to worry about how they are going to be treated. And I think it's created chaos internationally. And then I think it is all not based on facts, undocumented. It is made up of various statements that don't make any sense. So I think it is one of the worst decisions. And then blaming a whole religion for this is truly outrageous and un-American. And I think the question is, there is danger in the world. There's no question about it. But all the facts that you've been presenting in terms of who are the ones that commit terrorist attacks, it is not people that come from those 7 countries. Why are the decisions made on the basis of what decisions? Is it because somebody has business in those countries? So of Arab countries, Muslim majority countries. So there are lots of questions that have not been answered. And part of what really bothers me is that this country is based on diversity and respecting diverse opinions. And what is happening is that this administration is making decisions based on the decisions of people that are uninformed about what is going on in the world.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well, disruption is interesting, Chris.
Right.
Destruction is bad.
Okay, so I take that distinction, but what's wrong with Sean Spicer saying, if you're not on the same page with the president and you work at the State Department, leave?
I think it is one of the really ridiculous statements, and there have been so many in the last few days, because part of what is important in our system is to hear people that have different views. The dissent channel is one of the most important parts of it. In many ways, it's kind of sacred to the Foreign Service because it gives people the opportunity to disagree and to have their views heard. The Secretary of State is supposed to take cognizance of that, meet with a lot of the people that have dissent. That's what this is about. And it would be useful if the people at the top of our government actually read the Constitution.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection told airlines they could board travelers affected within hours of Friday's ruling, which was February 3rd. But budget airline Norwegian, which operates transatlantic flights including from London and Oslo, said many uncertainties remained about the legal position. President Trump's order caused chaos at airports across the United States last week. Virtually all refugees were also barred, upending the lives of thousands of people who had spent years seeking asylum in the United States. The State Department said on Friday that almost 60,000 visas were suspended following Trump's order. It was not clear whether that suspension was automatically revoked or what reception travelers with such visas might get at U.S. airports. The Washington state lawsuit was the first to test the broad constitutionality of Trump's executive order. Federal Judge James Robart explicitly made his ruling apply across the country, while other judges in similar cases have so far issued orders concerning only specific individuals. The challenge in Seattle was brought by the state of Washington and later joined by the state of Minnesota. The judge ruled that the states have legal standing to sue, which could help Democratic attorneys general take on Trump in court issues beyond immigration. Washington's case was based on claims that the state had suffered harm from the travel ban. For example, students and faculty at state-funded universities being stranded overseas. Amazon.com and Expedia, both based in Washington state, had supported the lawsuit, asserting that the travel restrictions harmed their business. Tech companies, which rely on talent from around the world, have been increasingly outspoken in their opposition to the Trump administration's anti-immigrant policies. Federal Judge Robart probed a Justice Department lawyer on what he called, quote-unquote, litany of harms, H-A-R-M-S, suffered by Washington State's University, and also questioned the use of the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States as a justification for the ban. Judge Robart said no attacks had been carried out on U.S. soil by individuals from the 7 countries affected by the travel ban since that assault. For President Trump's order to be constitutional, Judge Robart said it had to be based in fact as opposed to fiction. The White House said in a statement, at the earliest possible time, the Department of Justice intends to file an emergency stay of this outrageous order and defend the executive order of the president, which we believe is lawful and appropriate. It added, the president order is intended to protect the homeland, and he has the constitutional authority and responsibility to protect the American people. Washington Governor Mr. Jay Inslee celebrated the decision as a victory for the state, adding, no person, not even the president, is above the law. The judge's decision was welcomed by groups protesting the ban. This order demonstrates that federal judges throughout the country are seeing the serious constitutional problems with the order, said Nicholas Espertitu, a staff attorney at the National Immigration Law Center.
This new temporary restraining order does is put an immediate halt on the key provisions of President Trump's executive order, and it applies nationwide. So how this will work out, given that this ruling came down on a Friday at around 4 p.m. Pacific time, will be interesting to see how it plays out at airports nationwide as everyone tries to figure out what exactly this means. But according to Federal Judge James Robart, it means that the key provisions of the travel ban pertaining to 7 countries and then also the halt of refugees into the United States is temporarily put on hold. And the policy is now null for now while this restraining order is in place until the full case can be argued before the court. But if this ruling is an indication, the full case may have a very good chance in Seattle as well. We heard a short time ago from AG Bob Ferguson and actually the Solicitor General who is arguing the case. And let's take a listen to some of that sound.
I did say at one point that the Department of Justice's argument was frightening, and the argument was essentially that if the president says, I'm doing this in the national security interest, then a court cannot review whether that's the real reason or whether there's even any rational reason for the president's action. And our view is that's not the law. That's a scary view of the law, and luckily the judge rejected that idea.
And now what made this ruling a bit surprising to legal analysts who thought this would be a very difficult case to win is that history and legal precedent has given the president broad authority when it comes to immigration and deciding who can enter this country when it comes to national interest and national security. So that's why this was expected to be an uphill battle. But in a surprising twist, the judge did grant Washington State and nationwide this restraining order. So we're still trying to see how this will all play out.
In the information description area will be links and more information for you to conveniently go to. For the TRC IC News Report, my name is Q. Pate.